What's going on, everybody? Roman Miranda here. Welcome to the Uber NYC Guide Show, episode 13. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. So today I have been in rant mode, right? So I talked a little bit about, I just had in episode 12, I had a little bit of a rant on entrepreneurship, on whether Uber is right for you, whether you should do it full-time, part-time, touched on a little bit of that. So today I want to talk about expenses and money and really a bit of a breakdown on how much you actually make net, not gross. Cool, so I made a little chart here that I will definitely post on my website. It's the first time I've ever talked about the fact that I have a website, by the way. You can go to ubernycguide.com and I'll be posting, I'll post all the videos on there, links from YouTube, but I'll also post some other goodies on there, some PDFs that I create like this, some text files, maybe there's a couple of audio files on there that's not on YouTube. I'll probably start an email list. The site is still very new. This is all still very new, so I'm still getting in the swing of it. I still got to build the site, but check it out, and I'll post it there. I'll post a link in the description below as well for the PDF that I'm making here. But yeah, a little bit of a breakdown. This is from my experience over the past couple weeks. Also, these are all very rough estimates. Take them with a grain of salt. Everything I think should have a plus or minus 500 to it, maybe even plus or minus 1,000 to it, depending on the length of time that I'm talking about. When it comes to the expenses, what I've found is that I'm spending around 60-ish a week on gas. So that's roughly, I like to put the annual amounts because I think that's good for me. I think big picture, and that helps me. But annually, that's 3,500. Tolls, I'm spending a lot in tolls. I'm probably spending around 100 a week in tolls. So it's around 5,000, 5,500 a year. Maybe $6,000 a year, depending. It all depends on how many hours you drive too, so it's all up in the air. So if you're only planning on driving, 40 hours a week or 35 hours a week, then it's going to be on the lower end for all of these, for gas and for tolls. If you're planning on driving, 62 hours a week or 70 hours a week, then it's going to be on the high end. So just, take that for what it's worth. Take these numbers for what it's worth. The car, that's consistent. For me, I bought a nicer car. I bought a 2016 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid with leather interior. So I'm going to be paying $469 or so, like $470 a week. So that's going to be $26,000 a year, right? 470 times like 52-ish. Yeah, it's 24,000 a year, whatever. So I always like to round up so that I kind of have like the worst case scenario in case so this way at the end of the year, if I have more money, I'm going to be psyched. But if I have less money, I'm going to be pissed. So all of these are probably inflated a little bit. But yeah, I have it on here. Car is 26. And then you are responsible for your taxes. So they take sales tax. Uber will take sales tax out, but you have to take your personal, your federal income and your state income tax. So again, I'm putting it high, but like 30% of your income, I'm guessing. So that's going to be anywhere between 18 grand and 25 grand at the end of the year that you need to write a check. So like, don't think that, at the end of the year, if you got 27 grand in your bank and you're like, oh, sick, like I did really good, and then you spend it on something, but don't forget in April, you have to write a check for 25 grand. Like, you really only have 2 grand. So like, keep that in mind. You are responsible for your own taxes. So I have a little bit of a breakdown. What I've noticed, like the way that I'm doing it, I think weekly, week to week, how much am I pulling in each week? And then, at the end of the year, then that's whatever it is. So like I have here, if you work roughly, again, this is all based on, I'm putting, all these numbers are based on working 26 an hour. So, and actually, the less hours you work, that number is probably going to be higher because there's less, you're probably being smart and working surge hours and not doing like so many lull hours. If you're working 70 hours a week, that's like a huge chunk of the week, so like you're bound to hit, 10 of those hours, you might be making 12 an hour. So that's going to bring down your average. So, so for me, I'm putting 26 in my head. That's the number I have in my head for how much I make an hour. So that's what all these calculations are. Again, on this sheet, you might not even be looking at my face. But anyway, all right. As you can see here, I have a breakdown of income and expenses. This is, again, super rough estimates, but I want you to take a look at, and again, it's all based on $26 an hour. You can check the math if you want. But this is all the expenses, and I have no idea what you're spending on food and on rent each month. So those are big numbers. Now, let's take an example of 50K a year. If you want to work 40 hours a week, you're making around $1 grand a week, you're going to make 50 a year. With the taxes, the car, the tolls, and the gas, you're going to wind up with around 8K left. It does not include any food or rent expense. So is it possible to rent and only work 40 hours a week? Not unless you live at home or on the super cheap. So take that into account. Okay, so what about at 54 hours a week, 70K a year? That's around 1,400 a week. With the taxes, car, tolls, and gas, now it's a little bit more probable. You're going to have around 17K at the end of the year. If you live on the cheap and you live free at home or, whatever, really cheap, then I think it is possible. 17 is a nice number at the end of the year for that. If we go to 90K a year and you're working, you're hustling your face off and you're working 70-hour weeks, then I think that's much more possible to, to live at a place for $1 grand a month. That's 12K, and then that gives you, 15,000 at the end of the year for your savings or to pay things off or whatever it is. So that makes it a lot more possible. So overall, I would say, renting and leasing is going to be really expensive. If you have really minimal expenses or you live at home, I think it's totally doable. If not, you may want to think again. Uber might not be right for you, especially with the renting and leasing option. That being said, if you own your own car and you don't need to rent, then you're saving 25K a year, which makes it much more worth it. So I hope that helps.